Hello everybody and welcome to another knockoff review. In today's video I'm taking a look at the pre-production sample of the Oversized Black Mamba Grimlock. Now I think this guy's actually hit retail yet again. My samples arrive kind of after the retail versions get released, but it gives you an idea of what to expect. Now Wojang are also doing a very similar version to this. I will be getting that, but I think basically you're going to be paying for a brand. I can't imagine it's going to be vastly different. Now before I take a look at the actual figure itself, we do get a couple of accessories. Obviously he gets that ridiculously huge mace like staff that he's wielding at the moment. We also get this rather funky looking ball which sits over his hand so he can smash people with it. Really love the paint effect there. I think they've done a good job of mimicking what Hasbro did when they released the original figure. And we also get a dino tongue. Yeah. I'm not sure if I can fit this on him in his robot mode, whether that can clip on in either of those shoulders. I'm not entirely sure as I don't get any instructions, but I don't know, it's not a necessity, but a nice accessory nonetheless. Taking a closer look at that head sculpt, I think it's something that really does enlarge quite nicely, although it does look like a reject from Guyver. It's definitely something like that. And we do have a button on the back which we can push, and that will give us some really nice red LED eyes. I personally like how that looks. It's just a tap in button, you just press it in, and look at that, they're kind of a flamey, smouldering red. As far as the rest of the figure goes, the paint is absolutely sublime. You can see the dino eyes. We've got some nice circuitry detailing on the inside there, really nice teeth. These are still flexible, but they're pretty sharp. There's still a fair bit of heft to this. There's a lot of die cast being added, and as you can see, he actually has two fists, which is always a very welcome thing. I will compare him to the original shortly, but let's just take a moment to appreciate what Black Mamba have done. These guys are getting better and better at doing stuff like this. Love how this looks. What a beefcake. Here we have him with his mace accessory attached to his hand. It's a very easy accessory to attach. You just pull this down and the hand literally just slides in to this groove. I like it. It fits in nicely. The colours match exceptionally well, and it looks like it's meant to be part and parcel. Now personally I think they missed a huge trick with this piece. I can't seem to get the staff to plug in to this tab at the back there. This is too big for the hole. I just thought if we could plug that in, then maybe we could have that kind of mounted on the back, but even then it would still dush against the dino head, so you kind of want it around that sort of mark there. But beggars can't be choosers. At the end of the day, it's still a good looking figure, but these little tweaks are something that I think they should have really considered before pumping out the release. The weapon itself is fairly hefty. There's a fair bit of size to it. Of course, this does transform up into part of the tail, but again, paint applications are done to an exceptional standard, something we've kind of come to expect from Black Mamba. Now I'll just give you an idea of how he scales with the Studio Series Optimus Prime. I would say remarkably well. I think that looks pretty darn good. And there we have him alongside the Kuban Bell version of Dragonstorm as well. Now some people may say that Prime is probably still too big for Grimlock, and Grimlock should be even taller. Wojang are releasing a Prime with their Grimlock, and Black Mamba have fought back against that and said that they're going to be releasing a Prime due at the end of the year, and I believe they're going to be sending it out to everybody that orders this through their trusted suppliers, which in itself is kind of cool, isn't it? Personally, I'm not going to be displaying mine alongside these figures. I will be displaying mine against the Studio Series, but for those who own the likes of the MPM 4 or maybe the Unique Toys Challenger, then this is how they look. And you know, it does not look terrible. We have him squaring off against some of his Decepticon foes. Loving how they look together, actually. Although, yes, he is still far too small, but man, that still does look rather tasty. And Rensaurus there still, just until we get the Unique Toys version released, but I like how that looks. Now, what do you guys think of the stealth version of Nitro Zeus? Personally, I think he looks awesome. Ares Nitrogen Stealth, something like that, I think it's called. It's a pretty good looking figure, isn't it? And here we have him alongside the original Studio Series. See, the Studio Series did opt for the more kind of vibrant looking colours, whereas Black Mamba have kind of given it a more toned down, dirtier feel to it. A lot of the plastic, the supple plastic that we had with this Grimlock, like the horn, etc., that's now been replaced by a solid piece. And of course, this solid ball on his hand has been replaced by a kit, which I'm not sure. I think this is the upgrade kit that DNA did, but don't quote me on that. And also we get the toes painted as well. He's painted his toes up, but it's the circuitry detail and the fine tuning. I think that's what sets the Black Mamba version apart from the rest. Right, now let's take a look at his articulation. The head can look up, chest does still raise, and down. The downwards motion is what's the most important in my opinion. We can go left and we can go right, and we can tilt side to side quizzically. The horn can go up and down. It kind of looks like a protoform Optimus Prime, doesn't it? The old protoform Optimus Prime, the toy that we got. And that's down, just that whole kind of shape. But yes, that's the head articulation. You know what, I think there's actually more detail captured on the Hasbro version in the face. They've definitely got kind of, where they've reverse engineered that is kind of softer, whereas the Hasbro one has definitely got those kind of sharper edges on the teeth, etc. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. That's more me nitpicking than anything else. The shoulders, up and down. We can come out to the side. Get a bend on that elbow. There is an upper bicep rotation. If we just disengage this handpiece, the hand itself that they've placed on there isn't the most amazing of hands. It's kind of a static unit on there with basic articulation on the fingers and on the thumb, but it's more cosmetic than anything else. The waist can rotate on a friction joint there. We have hip skirts to the front. This whole section here is diecast, but unfortunately I still would have liked this split, and I would have liked it painted on the underside as well. Legs can come forwards and backwards. Hip skirts to the side allow for outwards leg motion. God, that's really strong ratchet there. We have a double jointed bend on the knee. This one is kind of a looser hinge. It rocks backwards, allows us to go deep, and then we can seal that joint off again, giving us a quite deep knee joint, and then it kind of comes backwards. So you, in essence, you've got a double joint there, but it doesn't really work as such. We've got a hinge on the knee, and then come down to the feet. We've got a ball mount, although we can't really get a lot of range forwards and backwards. And pivoting is there, but it's not the deepest. And things work similarly on this hand, albeit we've got a little bit more motion on those fingers, and we get a rotation on that wrist. Now, the transformation of Grimlock isn't overly indifferent. Minus the ball section here, you want to have this piece swing up and round. This chest piece here basically untabs like so. You can just bring this piece forwards, This is going to rock backwards like so, and then that's going to flip back up and push, lock and tab into position. You want to split the head, bring that down either side, and you're going to want to pull and split those legs outwards. You want to rotate the waist around. Yeah, definitely a lot easier with a smaller Grimlock. Anyway, we're going to bend the arm at this hinge. That's going to come up. The fist will close off, and using that sideways tilt, just slide that in to that void there. Whew! Oh, I'm getting out of puff. Right, this comes up, and these two will marry up nicely, just pushing and tabbing in together. We can then bring the itty bitty tiny Grimlocky arms down. Right, the legs actually tilt backwards, this section underneath, which allows for this piece here to bend on this additional hinge. And if you look on the underside there, there's this tab port here. You're just going to marry those up, push, tab those in, and then this is going to lock back in on itself. And then using this kind of double strange knee joint, you're going to bend that up and over and giving it a much more dino-esque knee, and then rotate the feet up and around so the toes are now at the front. The plate pushes down on the chest, the heel spurs come up, and the knee guard just kind of sits in this section here, covering the knees off. His giant mace weapon, the spike pieces come off. This then flips down and pokes inside. This kind of skeletal area here is now going to slide on the underside of this fist. That's just going to come in. There's a tab just here which hooks that into place like so, and that's just going to all tab in under there like that. And last but not least, we can grab these panels here, and I think there's a tab just on here, and then there's one up on the neck where that can tab in as well, just kind of padding out that neck piece. Now, please don't quote me on this, but I think my tail, this piece here, which is part of the arm, I think that's misassembled. I think that's meant to be round the other way, because in some of the pictures it shows it kind of bending downwards, facing upwards. I can't do that the way the hinge goes, so I might try and take that off and put it back on the other way and see what happens. But I think I've kind of got it there. I didn't have any instructions, so I've kind of loosely gone by the instructions for the official product. But I love how it looks. It's big, it's huge, it's chunky. If we bring in Prime for comparison, it kind of towers over him. If we pull down his jaw, there is space on the inside here to slide in the tongue and bring that up. The tongue itself is on a hinge. I know it's not an essential part, but it's nice to have that kind of additional feature just kind of licking around in there. I'm not sure if I can attach this ball piece either in this mode. I thought that maybe I'd be able to kind of slide it on over this thumb piece. But I'm not convinced by how that looks on the tail. He does tend to want to move forward somewhat due to how I've got his knees positioned. I'm not sure how I'm going to get away with that really. It's just kind of how these hip skirts go, and then the knees are double jointed back. It's kind of a bit back heavy, but I love what they've done with it, and especially that kind of leaning back, kind of growling T-Rex. It kind of very much reminds me of something from the likes of Jurassic World or Jurassic Park. So we'll just put Prime up on here, There we go. That's not bad. That's not too bad at all. And here he is alongside the original. Kind of towers over it, doesn't it? Vastly superior, in my opinion, when it comes to the size, etc. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that funky little piece at the back. And for a couple more scale comparisons, here we have alongside the Weijang Optimus Prime, we have him alongside Weijang's Brawl, we have him alongside the MPM Bumblebee, and we have him alongside one of Lockdown's dogs and Sam Witwicky. And for you cross-continuity fans, here he is alongside MP10 in his vehicle mode. Now, articulation in his dyno mode is limited. We do have ball-mounted sockets for these arms. We have a hinged jaw that does go down, although it does in turn want to separate from this point here. The tongue is hinged. I shouldn't see any reason why that can't be attached in robot mode. I will look into it though, but I'm pretty sure it still can be. And of course we have the ratcheted joints on these thighs. They do go forwards and backwards. This still lifts up. We still have that outwards motion. Still have the upper thigh rotation as well, so we can kind of bend these legs out. And we do still get that kind of bend on the knee, which does kind of seep forwards and backwards, but it's obviously a lot more sunken due to how the legs are displayed for his beast mode. And the tail is kind of a locked piece. We do have some swishing left and right, but no real up and downwards motion. Let me know your thoughts. Have I done this wrong? Possibly, but I've kind of gone into it a bit blind. Personally, I love how it looks. I would like some fillers for the detail on the sides of the nose, etc., just to cover up those screw holes. I do like what this section here does, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Weijang's scales up against this. The measurements for this guy are out and about. Everybody's pretty much seen them, but we haven't really seen a great deal from Weijang in terms of measurements. But for those interested, from the ground to the top of his horns, he's standing around the 12 to 13 inch mark. That's just over 31, 32 centimeters. With tip to tail, he takes up adequate detolf space, coming in around the 24 inch mark. That's about 61 centimeters. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the big bad Grimlock from Black Mamba. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Are you going to get this? Are you going to wait for the Weijang? Or are you happy with your Studio Series? What scale is this guy? Does he fit better with the Masterpiece, or does he fit better with these small Studio Series figures? Until next time, from myself and Grimlock, thanks for watching. Goodbye.